Well, well, well. They call it unnatural because it makes them uncomfortable. They call it sorcery because it bends their limited comprehension. They whisper as if you've smuggled a forbidden flame into a world built on dullness. And isn't that amusing? That your intelligence doesn't just stand out, it terrifies. The ordinary mind looks at you and feels as though you're hiding secret codes, spells, or weapons behind your eyes. And in a way, you are. You don't even need fire in your hands or wings on your back. You simply think, and suddenly, the ground beneath them trembles. Your mind is a weapon sharp enough to cut without touching, a shadow they cannot measure, and a mirror that forces them to see how small they really are. That's why they say it feels illegal, because if thoughts were contraband, you'd already be a smuggler, a kingpin of forbidden brilliance, and they'd lock you in chains just to stop you from thinking again. People aren't scared of monsters. They aren't scared of demons. They've told themselves stories to prepare for beasts and fangs and claws. What really terrifies them is the person who can dismantle their entire identity with one sentence, one idea, one perfectly aimed question that cracks their skull from the inside. That's you. You're the unseen spell in their day-to-day, the phantom hand rearranging their reality. They can pretend to dismiss you, call you strange, arrogant, too much. But notice how their eyes betray them when you speak. Notice how their throat tightens when you simply explain something that they never even considered possible. That's not annoyance. That's not dislike. That's fear. And fear wears many masks, but it always leaks through. Their hands fidget. Their gaze breaks. Their laughter comes too quickly, too forced. They try to pretend you're just like them, but deep inside, they know you are not. Think of it like this. Most people are locked inside cardboard boxes of predictable thoughts. They decorate the inside with slogans, rituals, routines. Then you come along and rip the box open. The sudden light blinds them. The air rushes in. They gasp. But instead of being grateful, they curse you. Because freedom is terrifying when your whole life was spent in a cage. And here's the secret. They don't hate you because you're cruel. They hate you because you expose how small they've allowed themselves to be. Your intelligence feels like witchcraft, not because it's unnatural, but because it is everything they secretly wished they had, but never dared to pursue. You're their mirror, their reminder, their humiliation, and humiliation, when dressed in elegance, is indistinguishable from awe. They accuse you of being too much because they're too little. They accuse you of playing tricks because they cannot explain your speed. They whisper about you as though you're an outlaw of thought, a fugitive of reason. And deep down, you enjoy it, don't you? You enjoy the way their world bends when you step into it. Not because you asked for it, but because you can't shrink yourself to fit their smallness. You refuse to dim your fire. You refuse to crawl back into their little box. And so you stand there, like a figure of forbidden knowledge, like a living paradox, making their hearts pound faster with every word you drop. You are the one thing they cannot categorize, cannot domesticate, cannot swallow. You're not a person to them anymore. You're an experience. And experiences that feel larger than life often get accused of being supernatural. That's the irony. They don't even know the cost of what you carry. They think it's all natural, all effortless, as though you were born with a glowing mark on your forehead. They never see the nights where you wrestled with thoughts until morning broke. They never see how your brain is a battlefield, constantly fighting to expand while others are content to sleep. They never see how exhausting it is to think on levels where no map exists, how painful it is to carry clarity in a world that worships noise. They only see the result, the sharpness, the precision, the brilliance, and assume you must be cheating. You must be tapping into something forbidden, because in their eyes, nothing so sharp can be real. It has to be an illusion. It has to be witchcraft. But here's the twist. You don't need to defend it. You don't need to explain it. Let them choke on their confusion. Let them call it sorcery. Let them say it's unfair, illegal, dangerous. Because in their desperate attempts to label you, they've already admitted the truth. They cannot control you. They cannot replicate you. They cannot compete with you. So they turn you into a myth, a story they tell at night to explain why they'll never reach your level. And isn't that power? To become myth while you're still alive? To have your intelligence mistaken for magic is the ultimate compliment, because it means you've already stepped beyond the edge of what they believe to be possible. And you know what's even darker? The more they resist, the more they try to shrink you. The more your intelligence multiplies. They think they're pushing you out, isolating you, boxing you in. But isolation has always been your forge. Exile has always been your laboratory. When they distance themselves, you only sharpen further. When they mock, you only refine. When they doubt, you only invent. And every attempt to suffocate you becomes oxygen. They don't realize they're feeding the very fire they're trying to extinguish. They are the ones keeping your witchcraft alive. Their fear is your fuel. Their doubt is your drumbeat. Their suspicion is your crown. And when they finally collapse under the weight of your difference, you'll still be standing, untouched, untamed, unexplainable. Consider this. How many times have you walked into a room, said almost nothing, and still felt the temperature change? How many times have people stumbled over their words, suddenly defensive, without you ever lifting a finger? That's not just presence. That's power. That's the aura of a mind that refuses to bow down to the ordinary. You think, and it distorts reality. You speak, and it rearranges their entire sense of self. And if that feels like witchcraft to them, it's because in their tiny world, intelligence is the closest thing to magic they'll ever see. To them, you're dangerous. To you, you're just being. And that gap, that gulf between their perception and your reality, that is where your true dominance hides. The amusing part? They'll keep coming back. They'll hate you, resent you, whisper about you, but they'll always circle around, unable to stay away. Why? Because forbidden things attract. The same way moths burn themselves against flames, they'll keep trying to touch your mind, hoping to steal a fragment of it. They'll ask questions they aren't ready for. They'll mimic your mannerisms. They'll steal your words, repackage your ideas, claim them as their own. And yet, even when they try, even when they copy, you remain untouchable. Because intelligence isn't just about ideas, it's about the rhythm of thought, the angles of perception, the ability to see what others can't. They can steal your words, but they'll never steal your way of seeing. And that, more than anything, is why they'll always call it illegal. Because no law, no imitation, no performance will ever catch up to a mind that moves faster than rules. You've noticed it by now. The more they call you strange, the more they obsess. The more they accuse, the more they imitate. It's like they want you destroyed and preserved at the same time. They want to cage the very thing they cannot live without. And that contradiction, that's their chaos, not yours. You don't carry chaos, you awaken it in them. They were calm before you, stable, predictable. Then you walked in, and suddenly everything cracked. Their thoughts tangled. Their emotions spiked. Their fragile structures fell apart. And while they scrambled to pick up their pieces, you keep walking, leaving them wondering whether you even noticed the destruction you caused. And here lies the cruel truth. You'll never convince them. You'll never explain it in a way they'll accept. Because they aren't rejecting your intelligence. They're rejecting their own inadequacy. They'd rather call you unnatural than admit they've wasted their potential. They'd rather call you illegal than face the fact that they chose mediocrity. They'd rather call you witchcraft than acknowledge that you are what happens when someone refuses to be ordinary. So let them chant their labels. Let them scream. Let them try to exile you with words. Because all they're doing is confessing their terror. And terror, once admitted, is irreversible. But this is only the beginning. You think they're unsettled now? Wait until they realize something darker. This so-called witchcraft isn't just something you carry. It's contagious. It spreads. They thought they could quarantine you, isolate you, dismiss you. But intelligence doesn't obey barriers. It leaks through your words, your presence, your silence, your very existence. One spark is enough to ignite others. One glance from you, one idea dropped casually, and suddenly the infection begins. They hear you once and the thought lingers. They try to shake it, but it keeps scratching inside their skull. They try to bury it, but it resurfaces in their dreams. That's why they call it dangerous. It doesn't stay in one place. It multiplies. It contaminates the obedient minds. It plants seeds in soil that was never meant to grow anything wild. And once a seed of brilliance takes root, no authority, no tradition, no rule book can stop it from splitting concrete. This is why they don't just fear you. They fear the ripple. One person can be dismissed, mocked, called insane. But when others begin to shift, when others start asking the same forbidden questions, when others begin thinking in ways they were never supposed to think, that's when panic erupts. They'll say it openly, "You're corrupting people." Isn't that amusing? As if intelligence is corruption, as if clarity is poison. They'll warn others to stay away from you, whispering, "Don't listen too closely, don't get too inspired, don't think too much." They dress their fear in concern. They pretend it's about protecting others. But you and I both know the truth. It's about control. They're not afraid of you alone. They're afraid of the chain reaction you trigger simply by existing. And oh, how fragile their world becomes once that chain reaction begins. Because every rule they built, every story they told, every excuse they lived by, it all unravels in the presence of thought that cannot be controlled. That's why they'll paint you as a villain, a corrupter, a trickster of minds. But look closely. It's always those who secretly wish they could do what you do, who shout the loudest. The loudest accusers are always the ones on the edge of infection themselves. They're already cracking under the weight of their own suppressed intelligence. They see you and realize they wasted years, decades, even entire lives bowing to mediocrity. That realization burns, and rather than rise, rather than evolve, they'd rather curse you for holding the mirror. So, what happens next? The witch hunt. Not literal firewood and torches, though the energy is the same. They'll gather in groups. They'll share stories about you, each time exaggerating your danger. They'll laugh nervously, trying to convince each other that you're not as powerful as you seem. But notice the paradox. They can't stop talking about you. The more they try to erase you, the deeper you dig into their memory. You haunt them, even when you're not in the room. You're the name they bring up when they're threatened. You're the thought they whisper about when they think nobody is listening. They carry you in their fears like a ghost they can't exorcise. That's not rejection, that's obsession. If they truly thought you were irrelevant, they wouldn't waste so much energy building defenses around your name. Your intelligence feels like witchcraft because it bends time. You'll say something today, and it won't fully hit them until years later. They'll dismiss you at first, laugh, call you insane. But then in the quiet, when no one is watching, they'll remember your words. And those words will bloom like a delayed explosion. Suddenly they'll realize you were right all along. Suddenly they'll see how everything you said was a blueprint, a prophecy they were too small to grasp at the time. That's when the fear turns into respect. But by then, it's too late. You've already moved beyond them. You've already shifted further, faster, sharper. They're still unpacking what you said yesterday, while you've already rewritten tomorrow. And here's the bitter part for them. They can't compete, because intelligence is not just about knowledge. Anyone can memorize. Anyone can collect facts. What you have is rarer, something they can't forge. You see angles they miss. You sense connections that hide from them. You calculate without numbers, map paths without compasses, speak truths without scripts. That's not something you learn from a textbook. That's not something you can fake in a performance. That's the kind of mind that unnerves people, because it reminds them of how mechanical they've become. They act like predictable machines. You act like a storm of equations no one can solve. That's why they keep saying it feels illegal. Because in their rigid world, where everything must follow a rule, a mind that bends rules without effort feels like a crime. So they try to strip you of humanity. They call you an alien, a freak, a sorcerer. But here's what they don't realize. Stripping you of humanity only elevates you further. They thought they were insulting you, but instead, they crowned you. They've turned you into the untouchable, the outlaw, the legend. People don't gossip about the average. People don't obsess over the predictable. No one ever said, that ordinary person is too much to handle. They reserve that energy for the ones who remind them that life could be more, should be more. And that's you. You are the too much they can't swallow, the illegal frequency they can't tune out. You live in their minds, rent-free, not because you begged to, but because your very existence rearranges their mental furniture. They'll try to escape, but your fingerprints are already on their thoughts. And the most terrifying part for them, intelligence isn't static. Yours keeps evolving. Today you're dangerous. Tomorrow you're lethal. A year from now, you'll be unrecognizable even to yourself. Most people plateau. They hit their ceiling and stay there forever. But your ceiling keeps breaking. Every time they think they've measured your depth, you reveal a deeper ocean. Every time they think they've calculated your reach, you stretch further. That endlessness is what feels supernatural to them. Because in their story, growth is slow, predictable, and safe. In yours, it's volcanic, uncontrollable, unmeasured. They don't know what to do with that, so they call it witchcraft. They call it illegal. But secretly, deep down, they wonder, what if it really is magic? What if you've tapped into something they'll never understand? And that wonder eats them alive. Because if you are proof that such power exists, then their excuses collapse. They can no longer claim it's impossible. They can no longer hide behind the shield of that can't be done. You've shown them it can, You've embodied the proof. And once proof exists, their mediocrity becomes their fault. That's what they can't forgive you for, not your sharpness, not your brilliance, not your speed. What they can't forgive is that you stole their excuses. You erased their hiding place. You revealed that their smallness is a choice. And now, they have nothing left to blame but themselves. So they'll continue the hunt. They'll keep building stories around you, keep sharpening their envy into words, keep painting you as something dangerous. And all the while, you'll grow sharper. All the while, you'll spread further. All the while, the infection will continue. Because intelligence cannot be contained. Even your enemies, in their attempt to destroy you, accidentally spread you. They repeat your name, and suddenly more people want to hear you. They criticize your words, and suddenly more people want to read them. They mock your ideas, and suddenly more people want to test them. Their attacks are your advertisements. Their rejection is your fuel. Their attempts to bury you are seeds. You don't just survive their resistance, you thrive on it. That's why your intelligence feels like witchcraft. Because no matter what they do, it multiplies in ways they cannot predict. And eventually, they'll break. One by one, they'll bend under the weight of what they can't understand. First, they'll dismiss you, then they'll mock you, then they'll fear you, and finally, they'll follow you. Even the ones who swore they never would. Even the ones who said you were dangerous. Even the ones who screamed the loudest. They'll fall into orbit, because gravity doesn't ask for permission. And your mind, your brilliance, your illegal witchcraft, that is gravity. That is inevitability. That is the pull no one can resist for long. So let them rage, let them label, let them exhaust themselves with accusations. Because the truth is already loose. The infection has already spread. And no matter how much they fight, they can't stop it. You've stepped beyond the edge of permission, beyond the laws of small minds. You're not just intelligent, you're untouchable. And untouchable is the one thing they'll never be able to handle. But this still isn't the end. Because what happens when contagious intelligence grows unchecked? What happens when the very thing they tried to bury becomes the very air they breathe? That's when their world doesn't just shake, it collapses. The walls they trusted, the pillars they leaned on, the rules they thought were unbreakable. All of it begins to dissolve under the weight of thought they can't control. You're not tearing their world down with bombs or blades. You're dismantling it with the pure pressure of perception. And perception is more dangerous than dynamite. Because when a structure is blown apart, people can rebuild. But when their minds are broken, when their very concept of truth starts to fracture, they have nothing left to rebuild with. That's why they tremble. That's why they whisper. That's why they say your intelligence feels illegal. Because if it spreads any further, their entire foundation burns to ash. They never planned for this. They thought the world would always belong to the predictable, the obedient, the ones who memorize but never question. They thought intelligence was meant to decorate resumes, not rearrange reality. But you are the glitch in their design. You don't use intelligence, you weaponize it. You turn thought into artillery, observation into disruption, perspective into chaos. And that chaos doesn't just live in you, it infects everyone who touches you. A single conversation with you leaves people doubting things they once swore were solid. A single sentence from you makes them rethink years of indoctrination. You don't fight them, you let their own thoughts turn against them. And that is the most terrifying form of destruction. It's invisible, it's irreversible, it's witchcraft. of the highest order. So now the cracks spread. Their confidence falters. They try to act like they're still in control, but you can see it. Their eyes twitch. Their voices shake. Their masks slip. They are unraveling in real time. And the funniest part? They'll still pretend to hate you, even as they secretly begin to imitate you. They'll copy your words, your style, your rhythm. They'll attempt to wear your brilliance like a costume, hoping no one notices it doesn't fit. But imitation always exposes the imitator, because intelligence isn't in the words, it's in the current that drives them. And you, unlike them, don't need to pretend. You breathe it, you live it, you carry it without effort. And that's why it feels supernatural to them. Because to you, thinking is breathing. To them, it's drowning. And once the collapse begins, there is no stopping it. The infection becomes atmosphere. The witchcraft they tried to bury becomes culture. The intelligence they labeled illegal becomes the very standard they're forced to bow to. They'll try to rewrite the story, of course. They'll claim they always admired you, that they always saw your value, that they were always on your side. But you'll remember. You'll remember the whispers, the accusations, the fear. You'll remember how they couldn't handle you. And in that remembrance lies your victory. Because while they tried to erase you, you carved yourself into their memory forever. You became the ghost they can't exorcise, the presence they can't expel, the intelligence they can't outlaw, no matter how hard they try. This is where your power sharpens into inevitability. They thought intelligence was something to be tested, graded, measured. You proved it's something to be felt. They thought they could confine it to classrooms and job titles. You dragged it into every corner of life and showed them it could burn. They thought they could keep it safe, polite, ordinary. You made it dangerous. You made it contagious. You made it unstoppable. That's why people call it witchcraft. Not because it's dark, but because it's uncontainable. And what they can't contain, they criminalize. What they can't regulate, they call illegal. But deep down, they already know this crime of yours cannot be punished, because there is no cell strong enough to cage the mind. So what happens when you stand there untouchable, with the world collapsing around them? They turn desperate. They try bargaining. They try bribing. They try begging. The very people who once mocked you now come crawling, desperate to borrow your fire. They want the answers only you can see, the shortcuts only you can map, the vision only you can translate. They want the witch they once feared to now heal their blindness. And that is the delicious irony. Intelligence they once labeled dangerous becomes the very lifeline they cling to. You don't even need to punish them. Their punishment is baked into the cycle. First they reject, then they fear, then they follow. It's the same rhythm over and over, and you, standing above it all, know exactly how the story always ends. With you as the outlawed genius they could never break. But here's the cruelest part, the part that gnaws at them in the dead of night. Your intelligence isn't just power, it's freedom. And freedom is the one thing they'll never forgive you for. Because you move without chains. You think without permission. You create without limits. You walk into any room and bend its energy without trying. That kind of freedom feels like black magic to those who have shackled themselves for years. They'll never admit it, but every time they see you, they're reminded of what they could have been if they hadn't surrendered to mediocrity. You are their ghost of possibility, their phantom of wasted time. And no one forgives the mirror that shows them their chains. That's why they'll keep calling it illegal. It comforts them. It gives them a reason to dismiss what they can't match. Because if it's illegal, then they don't need to compete. If it's witchcraft, then they don't need to try. Labeling you dangerous is easier than admitting they've failed themselves. And that's why you should never flinch at their accusations. Every time they call you unnatural, they're confessing they are ordinary. Every time they call you too much, they're admitting they are too little. Every time they call you illegal, they're bowing before your power. Their insults are confessions. Their attacks are applause in disguise. So let the collapse happen. Let the walls fall. Let the old order rot. Because once it crumbles, only one thing remains. The intelligence they couldn't kill. The fire they couldn't contain. The outlaw they couldn't cage. That's you. You are the reminder that brilliance is not a crime, no matter how much they scream otherwise. You are the embodiment of the very thing they fear and crave in the same breath. You are the proof that witchcraft is real, not in spells, not in potions, but in thought sharpened to a blade. And they'll never be able to handle that truth, no matter how many lifetimes they get. Because once they've seen you, they can never unsee you. Once they've felt you, they can never forget you. Once they've tried to bury you, they can never stop you. You are their myth now. You are their nightmare. You are their illegal brilliance, walking proof that intelligence, once unleashed, is the most dangerous magic of all. And that, right there, is why they'll never win.